They were so excited because it was such a big monumental thing. WWE, unfortunately, doesn't have that anymore very often. They don't have that type of crowd. They don't have that those types of responses. The matches most of the time, in my opinion, don't get to that full effect. They don't build enough steam to make people react that way. Well, TNA, they had a very vocal crowd for a very, very long time, and even to an extent they do now, but not like it used to be. Have you noticed from the time that you started and once y'all started building up to the time that you left, could you tell kind of a difference in the crowd reactions that y'all got?
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, when you're taking a guy, like remember when they had Triple X, Low Key,
yep,
and Alex and Chris Daniels together, you lose Low Key, you put Chris Daniels as the Curry man. I mean, give me a break with that one. And when you take Konnan out of LAX, you put in Shelly Martinez, you get rid of Ron Killings, you bring in Scott Steiner. When you're getting all these people that were entertaining, and now you're bringing in all these WWE rejects, it almost looks like, did you guys learn anything from WCW? Because if you don't know, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin and Homicide and guys like that, those are going to be the future of this business, just like Eddie was, and Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit and Rey Mysterio and all the guys that were held back in WCW by the guys on top. It's almost like I'm seeing the same thing. So now what they're doing is they're stocking up all these names, Booker and all these other people that are coming in, that a lot of them just really can't go, but they're so starved for stars, and they're putting everybody in the back seat, and they should be giving the rub to all these guys underneath, kind of like what they're trying to do with Petey and Scott Steiner, but they should be doing that with a lot more guys. But yeah, you're right about that.
It seems like they're also playing it safe though with the matches. Even you used to get so many original, innovative matches when you had Homicide, when you got the Christopher Daniels, you had Triple X. Remember the AJ Styles Samoa Joe matches and Christopher Daniels. The three of them were head and shoulders above the X division. But at the time when it first originally happened, nobody cared. They created such a gap, though, unfortunately, with the X division, and they took Samoa Joe to the heavyweights. They teamed up Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles, and then you were left with the Petey Williams, you left with the Jay Lethals, you were left with the people that they didn't give a shit about at the time, and they didn't have anywhere to go. They had no characters, nothing given to them, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, you're an X division now. When the three, but my point was, when Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and AJ Styles had that very long, drawn-out series of matches for the title, those were some of the most original, innovative matches, phenomenal matches, no pun intended to AJ, that we get to see anywhere. You don't get to see that, and now it seems as if even in the matches alone, they're playing it very safe.
No, not only that, bro. Look at what they've done to AJ Styles. I mean, that's another guy that, Glenn said, oh, well, he isn't ready for the main event. AJ Styles is a main event guy. That's all there is to it. And you can have him go out there and cut as many stupid comedy promos as he has. He could go out there and cut a real promo. And, the problem is you got this guy who's incredible, dressed in a turkey suit, dressed as a Roman gladiator, falling in love with Karen, getting married with Karen, hiding in his bedroom, because he doesn't want to talk to nobody. I mean, he's just been made a complete fool. And, I don't mind entertainment because I used to love The Rock and I used to love what Austin did. But it didn't turn into cheesy stuff all the time, and it wasn't the whole show, and it was just a couple characters. I mean, sometimes I just sit there and I wonder, what are they really thinking when they write these shows? Because some of them are just beyond horrible.
I agree. Tell you what, before we get out of here, any final, because I hate Konnan, and it's bad for me to do this because I've always felt that a true journalist, which is I guess really what I kind of consider myself, but
right.
A true journalist always tries to praise the product that he's covering as much, if not more, than he criticizes it. But at the same time, I don't think that's always the case. Yet in recent months, it does seem like it's been a TNA and at times WWE, bashing session here on 5150 on the Voice of Wrestling on a lot of stuff that takes place at WrestleZone.com, and as entertaining as the audio is and the articles and different things like that, as entertaining as those can be, it's not necessarily different than what everybody else is saying. So maybe just going off of my little golden rule here, you might have to scratch your head and think about this one. But, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say that everything is completely awful, but maybe you, the bitter self that you are, no, I'm just joking, but maybe you can at least think for them to build on something. What does Konnan like about TNA? I mean, what angles, what people, what do you like that they're doing on TV?
Well, you know, the thing is I'm not bitter. I'm just frustrated. I just can't believe that you have all this talent and all these people with experience writing the shows. As long as Jeff's been in, Dutch has been in, Vince has been in, Disco's been in, and they've seen all the mistakes of WWE and WCW, and they continue to make them again. You know, I just want to go back real quick to something that I really didn't answer, which was when Glenn was talking about, you know, how the people go out there and do dueling chants.
Right.
That's just an evolution of fan participation. And you don't have to go far, bro. I was here in San Diego when Barry Bonds came over here and broke the home run record. The first time he came, like, I think it was maybe 8 months before he broke the record, or a year, they were throwing syringes into the field, all right? Oh, wow. And then the last time he came here, people were turning his back and chanting steroids and chanting Balco, which was the company that he got the clear from. You know, that's just how the fans are. You go to Philadelphia, you go to Boston, you go to L.A., you go to a basketball game or a football game, bro, they're just as bad or worse than the wrestling fans. That's just an evolution of fans in general, because fans have gotten smarter. There's the internet. More guys, you know, back in the day, a guy would get busted for something, they'd probably keep it quiet. Now they know it's news, it's newsworthy, you can make money off of it. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, everything has gotten out there, and everybody knows a lot more about stars' private lives, and they love to get on them, you know, when they fuck up, because they're so overpaid and they're treated so holier than thou. And when they fuck up, the fans get on them. And same thing with wrestling. When they find out that, you know, a lot of times, you know, this has been unfair to him, but a lot of times, you know, they'll say fire Russo or whatever they would say, when Russo didn't even do that segment. But, you know, people are more informed, and when they're not happy with something, they're going to bust your balls. They're not that easy crowd it was way back. Remember I was watching some old videos of, like, World Class and, like, NWA back in the day when Flair was the king. And, I mean, the fans were just really easy, kind of like it is in Mexico now. But the fans aren't easy anymore. They're a lot smarter. They're a lot sophisticated. And these guys keep writing shows for the fans from the 70s. You know what I'm saying?
Well, then on top of that, it seems like they're trying too hard, as opposed to playing off of what the crowd gives you as a response. It's like they still have it in their mind. Oh, I know they're doing this, but I promise you that I can make them do this by the end of the day. And so they book away from it just so they can almost prove a point.
Exactly.
They want to make the fans do exactly they feel as if the fans are puppets, which they're not anymore. And they think that they can prove a point by making the crowd respond the way they want to, as a part of just playing right into it. I remember, you know, when, you know, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, which still goes on, the big what chant.
Right.
The what chant that's for hell, it's been what now? 5 years? 6 years?
Probably.
You know, that he did that.
Right.
He looked at his damn watch.
Right.
And asked what time it was.
Right.
All of a sudden, you've got this huge thing that's carried over for so long. Now, it took somebody like a Stone Cold to get it over, but every once in a while, as opposed to just going away from it whenever somebody does a promo and it starts happening, every once in a while you'll see, you know, Vince McMahon will say something about it. You know, he'll make a joke back with it. And I think that's the funniest thing. The crowd loves it. The crowd respects it when you do that. When you respond to the crowd, they respect that, in my opinion. They don't want you to pretend that they're not there saying that damn thing behind you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's
exactly.
me.
You're right, exactly. And most of the time people get mad. I've heard them do it to Eric Bischoff and Vince, and they go off on the crowd. Well, guess what? Now you just involve the crowd, and they're going to do it even more.
Yeah, which they love it, though.
Right, exactly.
And they're going to go home and they're going to think, I just got to that guy. I just got to Russo. And they did, but at the same time, they still enjoyed it much more than if you would have just ignored what they were saying, which they tend to do. And not in just a very literal sense when they're out in the ring cutting a promo and they're ignoring it. They do it overall, behind the scenes when they're doing the creative, when they're writing the stories, when they're writing the shows, they still ignore what the fans are doing.
Exactly. And I've always said, and this has been my booking philosophy, I've always said, and I even told Disco this, I go, bro, you guys make it so hard. You know how you book? Listen to the people. But a lot of times when they don't want to push somebody that people like I remember when Norman Smiley would go out there, and, bro, he would get a reaction like you wouldn't believe, and they wouldn't push him. For whatever reason they had in their head, they wouldn't push him. But yet when they like somebody, they'll push him and push him and push him and push him. And, a lot of times they just won't listen to the crowd. But let me get back to the question you asked me. What do I find good about TNA?